happening, Halloween fans and movie fans alike? Welcome back to the channel. I am Dial here with another movie review. So, for the month of October, since it's Halloween season, we are covering all the canon Halloween films. I've already talked about the original Halloween from 1978. If you guys haven't seen my review for that, I'll put a link in the description below so you guys can watch it. But today, we're continuing on talking about the first legacy sequel, also called Halloween, which is a bit confusing in my opinion because this is supposed to be a sequel to the original and it's also called Halloween. I don't know why they didn't give it a different title. Like, they could have called this Halloween Returns. I think that would have been a suitable title for that. But, I digress. So if you guys have been following my channel since the beginning, back when this channel was called D-WIZZLE, you guys will know I've already covered Halloween 2018. But funny enough, I haven't went back and revisited this movie since 2018. So very similar to the original Halloween, which I haven't seen in a few years. It'll be nice to go back and revisit this and see if my opinions change since I haven't seen it in a long time. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about Halloween 2018. So if you guys see my review for the original Halloween, you guys would know I liked it. I thought it was good. Before I revisited this, I thought it was one of my favorite slasher movies, but now I don't really feel the same. I don't think it's bad, but like, I don't know. There was some stuff about the original that I thought was a bit dated. I felt like there wasn't enough going on with the plot, and I thought they could have done more to dive into Jamie Lee Curtis's character Laurie, and especially I wanted them to dive more into Michael Myers' backstory, but it was very surface level. And as far as the kills, while I respect them for not trying to be too bloody like most slasher films are today, it felt like the kills weren't as impactful as they are now. So it was a decent starting off point to, help pave the way for slasher genres, but I don't know. I just felt like it wasn't as memorable as other stuff, and I don't see myself revisiting the original Halloween as much as other things like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, Evil Dead, stuff like that. So when it came to the non-canon sequels that came out after that, it was really a struggle to get through. I think a majority of them are garbage. There's only like maybe two or three of them that I thought were okay at best, which was like the original Halloween 2 I thought was okay, and that really impacted how not only the Halloween films were going to be going forward, but how most other slasher genres how they were going to be. Like, so I understand the original Halloween 2 was very impactful, but the overall as a film I thought was just okay. Halloween Water I thought was okay. I know it's called H2O, but I'm calling it Halloween Water because like that's a goofy title. I thought that was okay with them trying to do some stuff with Laurie's character. I thought that was interesting, but once again, it was just average at best. And then there was some interesting stuff they did with the first Rob Zombie Halloween reboot. That was, once again, it was just okay, but everything else just absolute trash. I did not like a majority of them. I think Halloween has some of the worst sequels for any horror or slasher movie, at least in my opinion. And it made me really not care about the Halloween franchise anymore because of how bad the majority of the sequels were and how inconsistent the continuity was. So when they were announcing that they were going to try again to rejuvenate the franchise with Universal, I could care less because of how many attempts they tried to do in the past. But what got my attention is that with this new Legacy sequel trilogy, they said that they were going to ignore the events of the sequels. So Halloween 2 through Halloween Resurrection wasn't going to count. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So that's their way of saying that they want to, have a fresh start. They're trying to make sense of the timeline, the continuity, and maybe they have something interesting to say. All right, you kind of got my attention. But then what also gave me a red flag was who they decided to get to helm these three movies. And It was David Gordon Green and Danny McBride. Now, David Gordon Green, I haven't seen a lot of his movies. The only thing I've seen him do was Pineapple Express, and I'm like, why would you get the director of Pineapple Express to do Halloween? It seems like a very different type of franchise for him to do, you know? And then Danny McBride, I'm sure a lot of you know about Danny McBride if you guys have seen a lot of his comedic stuff that he's done over the past few years. He's done a lot of movies with Seth Rogen. So I'm like, this was really, really confusing to me. You know, both of these, guys are from comedic backgrounds. Why would they be given the Halloween movies? I had no idea. But maybe it was a Jordan Peele situation because Jordan Peele was also he also came from comedy with Keegan Michael Key, and then he ended up making some really good thriller movies. So like maybe it's a similar situation with that. Maybe Universal saw what what David Gordon Green and Dan McBride was pitching, and they were like, "Oh, that's perfect for them to rejuvenate the franchise." And they're also teaming up with Blumhouse to do it. I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. So I remember the first time I watched this, I thought the movie was okay. I had some really big issues with it, but overall, as far as attempts of doing continuations from the original Halloween, this was probably one of the better attempts. I know, first initial reactions when this first movie came out, a lot of the movie going audience really enjoyed this, and then the critics were just like lukewarm about it. So it was a very interesting response from everybody. But now revisiting it and coming right off of rewatching the original as well, I have to say I enjoyed this a lot more the second time around. I actually enjoyed this quite a bit, and this might be a controversial statement for a lot of people. I think I enjoyed this more than the original movie. Yeah, I know it's sacrilege to say that. I know a lot of people consider the original Halloween to be a classic, and a lot of people think that this 2018 version doesn't hold a candle to it. Now, once again, I still have some issues here and there with this with 2018. It's not perfect, but as far as the issues that I had with the original Halloween, I felt like this one addressed a lot of the criticisms that I had with the first movie. I felt like there was a lot more going on with the plot. I felt like the characters were more fleshed out. I thought the kills were more impactful. You know, I don't know. Overall, I think this was a really good sequel to the original, and honestly, it's probably my favorite of overall with non-canon and canon movies of the Halloween franchise. This may end up being one of, if not my actual favorite in the Halloween franchise. So one of the criticisms that I did have with the original movie is that I felt like there wasn't a lot going on in the first hour. It was just a lot of atmosphere building, a lot of slow shots, seeing people walking and talking and stuff like that. I felt like there could have been a little bit more substance in the original, but this one actually had more going on with the plot. As far as we're getting a little bit more of, they're attempting to give a little more background to Michael Myers. They're not giving everything away, but they're already building up intrigue and mystery behind Michael Myers as far as him being in the psychiatric ward and stuff like that, and them, just trying to, you know, put in the pieces of like figuring out where Michael Myers comes from, why he does what he does. I definitely appreciate that they dove into that a little bit more while not giving everything away. Another thing I really liked, Jamie Lee Curtis. Honestly, she's probably my favorite of the movie, and I think she's the favorite for a lot of people. I felt like in the original they didn't give that much character to Laurie, but in this one, she feels a lot more fleshed out. And what I also liked is that we're seeing consequences from the original movie, playing out in this. It's like she's dealing with trauma, PTSD, and now that she's an older lady, like she's been training her whole life for the possibility of Michael Myers coming back. She's gotten more tough. She's learning how to use weapons. She's creating all these traps in her house. So I thought that was very, very interesting. I liked Laurie a lot more in this one. It kind of reminded me of of Sarah Connor in the Terminator movies or Ripley from the Alien films, I thought, okay, this is a very interesting direction they gave to her. But not only that, we're seeing her family fleshed out more in this movie. So she also trained her daughter to to learn how to fight and use weapons for the possibility of Michael Myers coming back. And then we see her daughter played by Judy Greer when she's an adult. Like there's conflict going on between her and Laurie because her Judy's character is Karen, that she wasn't able to live a normal life because most of her life she's been training for Michael Myers return, so she wasn't able to live freely without worrying about some serial killer coming after them. And we're seeing that causing a divide between Karen and Laurie, to the point where Karen's daughter, who's Laurie's granddaughter, Allison, you know, she doesn't want her to associate with Laurie because of all the trauma that she gave to her, which is, actually some compelling stuff. I like the gray area going on. Wow. And I also see both sides. I see why Laurie did what she did to, to protect Karen and have her prepare for the worst. But at the same time, I understand why Karen doesn't want to live in fear her whole life, because we're led to assume that Michael is locked away forever, and then you know that they won't see him again. So that, she just wants to move on with life and not worry about him coming back. So I just really liked that development we had there, and I liked Allison as well, the granddaughter. I thought she was pretty good. As far as the teenage drama there, I didn't care that much about it. It's not bad, but it's just like it wasn't that memorable to me. The whole thing of like there's drama going on with her boyfriend, like him cheating on her and stuff like that, and just like it's typical teenage drama and stuff like that. But I thought it was okay. Michael Myers himself, I thought, was awesome in this movie. I thought the kills were a lot more impactful in this than it was in the original. But at the same time, it wasn't being too bloody and it wasn't too over the top, at least in my opinion. Like, they amped up the intensity, but they didn't make it, like, super disgusting. I thought there was a good balance of it, which I feel is lost with a lot of other slasher movies today. But it definitely helped to make Michael Myers more of an intimidating presence. And I like that the theme of Halloween was better represented in this movie, because it almost felt like, the theme of Halloween was in the background in the first movie. It wasn't as apparent as it is in this movie. There's literally an extended scene, the one tracking shot, which is kind of watching, the original movie with Michael Myers as a kid, with that one track shot of him killing his sister. There's like this long tracking shot of you're seeing the kids out for Halloween doing trick or treating, and Michael Myers is just standing there out in the open. And it makes sense because a lot of people are just assuming it's just another guy in a costume, so he's not, easily able to be identified. So he's just walking out in the open while all these kids are doing trick or treating, and then with people, they're more likely to leave their doors open because of trick or treaters and all the other stuff. So Michael Myers just casually just walks into random people's houses and starts going on a killing spree, and it's just this one tracking shot. I thought that was absolutely awesome. As far as the Doctor played by Haluk Bellinger, I thought he was fine. There was like this weird like twist with his character halfway through the movie that I thought was a bit confusing, but like up to that point, I thought he was pretty solid as the Doctor. I didn't think he was quite as good as the original Doctor in the first movie, but I thought he did his thing in this. I thought the acting all around though was really really good. Especially, I'm impressed by Judy Greer because like I'm also used to seeing Judy Greer in other comedic stuff, and it's like I felt like she would have been out of place in this, but she actually wasn't. She actually fit pretty well, and I actually like as I said earlier, I did like the dynamic that she had with Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie, and when she was doing the action scenes, she felt pretty believable in my opinion. I thought it was pretty good. And as far as the teenage actors and the child actors in this, I thought they were pretty good as well. I already said that I liked Allison, and even her friends were pretty good as well. Her boyfriend in this, Cameron, I thought was good. Allison's BFF Vicky, I thought she was good as well. There's also this little boy that Vicky babysits in the movie, Julian. I thought he was really good for the couple scenes that he was in. I wish he was in it more, but the couple scenes that he was in, I actually thought he was really good. He had some really good chemistry with Vicky in this movie. And also homaging the original because Lori was a babysitter to a kid as well. So I thought I like the homages to the original. It wasn't like in your face, but like it's nice little Easter eggs for people that have watched the original movie. I thought Oscar was okay. You know, he was probably the most annoying out of the teenage actors, but I thought he was fine. Felt very similar with Will Patton as Officer Hawkins. I thought he was fine. It didn't blow me away, but got the job done. What I also appreciate about this, which is why I kind of understand why this movie is also called Halloween. Um, if you didn't watch the original movie, you still, I think, you would understand what's going on in this movie. So which is something I also appreciated. Like even though I have seen the original movie, I found myself, still following everything, and it's like it wasn't too reliant on the stuff for the original movie. So I thought that was pretty good. Now, I did have some issues here and there. While I did say I did like the kills in this, I think they're a lot more exciting than it was in the original movie. What I feel like David Gordon Green is kind of lacking in this, that doesn't hold a candle to John Carpenter, is the atmosphere building. While I did feel like it was an extremely slow burn in the first movie, I felt like there's a purpose to that because, like, with John Carpenter building that atmosphere and, like, in the original movie, you really got a sense of the world and, like, it helped to build suspense a lot better. I feel like David Gordon Green hasn't really mastered that. Really, I wish he had some more time to like build some atmosphere. Like I wish there was a little bit more slow, you know, moments that that the original had. While as I said, it was I felt it was a little too much in the original, but this one I felt like everything was just going by really fast, and it's like while Michael Myers was really good in this movie, I felt like they could have done a lot more to just like slowly build up to the kills in this. It just felt like the kills are just happening abruptly at times. So it's like I wish David Gordon Green worked to just to build the suspense a little bit more. Another issue that I had is that this is something I kind of expected to happen because of David Gordon Green and Danny McBride's background with comedic stuff. There's some weird dialogue here and there, some awkward dialogue here and there that felt kind of out of place in this. Um, there's that whole thing with the peanut butter comments um, that Allison's dad says and stuff like that. There's some weird comedic bits here and there. It wasn't like as jarring as I thought it was when I first watched it, but like there was a couple stuff where I'm like, huh, that was kind of weird for him to say. But that I was okay with it a little bit more the second time around. Another thing, while I did say that I appreciate this movie stands on its own for the most part, while it is acknowledging the events of 1978, I felt like there's some stuff about it that does feel kind of clunky when it comes to it being a direct sequel to the original movie. Because while I do like that they made Laurie's character more tough and like training to use weapons and creating all these traps at her house and stuff like that, I don't know. Coming off of the original movie, while I do understand it psychologically, that would be something that would stick to her, but like, would it make her that paranoid? Like it after seeing like how the original movie ends, I just don't see Laurie's character going to that extreme just yet. It almost feels like there should have been like a sequel before this movie to really drive home why Laurie would be this paranoid. It almost feels like the original Halloween 2 should have been like the sequel to that they should have kept canon before making these legacy sequels. Even though I know that at the end of the second movie, Michael Myers is set on fire, so it's like it wouldn't really make sense. But like maybe they should have just had like a sequel to show Michael get locked up, because like it's at the end of the original movie, he runs away after he gets shot, and he falls out the window. So it's like we're just led to assume that he's still out there running free. So it's like, and then in the beginning of 2018, he's locked up. So it's like I just would have liked to have seen the events of in between those movies play out, so we could flesh out more naturally why Laurie becomes the way she does in this movie, and then also establishing how did Michael Myers get locked up. Just so we don't just assume certain stuff happened off screen. Don't question what happens off screen. But yeah, that's my only thing about it. It's not like it doesn't like ruin the movie for me. I still think Laurie's a really interesting character in this, and a lot more fleshed out than she is in the original. But I wish there were some in betweens here and there that I wish they could have fleshed out a little bit more. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this quite a bit. Honestly, this is what I wanted the first movie to be. And I know that's like, it's a shocking statement for me to say. As I said, I know a lot of people consider the original 1978 movie to be a classic. But for me, I just feel like this version, this 2018 version, I thought this is the stuff that I want to see from a Michael Myers movie. It feels like it's a lot more impactful, and it's definitely, the modern sensibilities to this, it helped it make it feel like a better movie with a little bit more substance for me. I thought the kills were much more impactful. I thought Michael Myers was really good in this. He had such a intimidating presence. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was excellent in this. I liked Judy Greer in this as well. I liked the family dynamic in this. Allison's really good. The teenager stuff was okay, wasn't great, but it helped to get the plot moving. But yeah, and overall, the climax at the end with Laurie, Karen, and Allison versus Michael Myers with the traps, I thought that was probably one of my favorite climaxes in the Halloween movie. Even that ending alone, is worth the price of admission. I like how the entire movie was just building up to that moment, and I found it very satisfying at the end. But yeah, overall, I will give Halloween 2018. I'll give it a B plus. I really liked it. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Halloween 2018. What did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? How does it compare to the original movie, and how does it compare to the other sequels? Comment your thoughts down below and let me know. So the next film I will be talking about is Halloween Kills. So tune in for that when it comes out. But if you guys enjoyed this review, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And please hit the bell if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing. But that's all I have for you Halloween fans, and I will see you guys next time. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.